Bevel Shenanigans World Headquarters and Training Center, and today we're going to do a video on grinding bevels on kitchen knife. So this is our kind of newly restyled kitchen knife, and what we're going to focus on today, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but we're going to try to get this nice little curved plunge line at the top. So we're going to try to show James how to do it and show all of you guys how to do it. Not that I'm the best at it in the world. There's a lot of guys out there who are a lot better at it than I am, but I'm trying to learn some stuff from them. That's cool. Yeah, you can kind of see. There we go. Get the light to hit it. So instead of having the straight up and down plunge lines, like most knives, just got a straight plunge line. Yeah. So instead of like the more straight up and down plunge line like that, although that one looks pretty dope. I like the way that looks. We're gonna try to get that little bit of a curve in there. So the main thing I found is on your grinder is, so I like to grind edge up like this. Thanks, buddy. So I like to grind edge up like this. And so you just hang the belt off on the side towards your plunge line. And it kind of just puts that curve in there. It's a little bit tricky for me at this point. Like I said, I'm not real good at it to make both sides the curve match. And it seems like the more you try to do it, the more intentional you are about it, at least in my experience, the harder it is to do it. So kind of just let it happen in a way. But then you can also come back and retouch the flats and kind of crisp everything up. So we'll kind of go through that. I haven't seen just a whole bunch of videos on people grinding bevels, and for a long time that was the hardest part for me, and it kind of still is, to be honest with you. You know, anybody can hit something with a hammer, anybody can cut something out. Once you kind of get some practice and figure some stuff out, you can do a good job heat treating it. But it's really easy to take a perfectly good piece of metal and then try to grind bevels in it and effectively ruin the knife. So it is the hardest part. So if you're struggling grinding bevels, don't feel bad. Everybody sucks at it. And then you get kind of okay at it. And then you probably get a little bit worse because you're trying some crazy stuff. And then eventually you get kind of okay at it again. So don't feel bad. Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to ruin a knife. Just start over. It'll be okay. So we're gonna get set up and we'll get started. So when I hadn't really seen a whole bunch of videos going over bevel grinding, and in my head it made sense, like I want it to go up to here. So I'll try to set the bevel here and lean into it and kind of do it all in one pass. One of the best videos I saw was actually Will Stelter, yeah, thanks. Will Stelter doing a video on their little knife in a box thing, and he did this one on a 1x30, and he really broke it down step by step. Basically, you know, you break, so we've got it's all flat, so you've got like a 90-degree angle here, from here to here. So you break that at like a 45, whatever, pretty steep on both sides. This has already been heat treated, so we're not gonna have to leave it thick to quench it or anything. So we're just gonna go for it and go all the way. So we're gonna take our 45 down to where they're pretty well touching, if we can. And then slowly, you know, you'll get a line on this side, and then slowly you just kind of work that up all the way. And then when you get up to the point you wanted it to, then you stop. But in my head, it made more sense to do it the other way when I was starting out. But this is actually a lot easier. It's easier to control, and you'll get better results. But I'll kind of break that down. Put my lid on there. Draw out our Sharpie.
You want to explain why we heat treat it first?
Yeah. So on kitchen knives, I have a hard time keeping the damn thing straight. So yeah, the end result is it's a really thin knife.
The thinness is kind of hard to show up on camera, but
yeah,
that edge is really dang thin.
So it's really thin. and doing a heat treat, doing your thermal cycles and all that, when you start getting pretty thin, it's real easy for it to pick up a warp. And if you've already got all your bevels ground in and you're getting close to your thickness on the final edge, to me, it's harder to keep it straight. We usually use some angle iron, our top of the line, super high tech straightening jig. We take 2 pieces of angle iron and put it in our vise. And so if you're picking up a warp in your thermocycles, you know, you can dink around with it and try to straighten it out on your anvil, and you can get it pretty good. But I'm not all that great at it, so I just take it when it's still hot, clamp it in the angle iron, and this is a lot easier to do when the entire thing is flat. And just clamp it down so it holds it straight. There's no place for it to go. After we do the quench, I think we've done a video where we've seen that. I just clamp it in the angle iron to hold it straight. Can't really go anywhere. If it does come out and it still has a little bit of a warp, you probably get it out. It'll be slight. You can probably get it out in your temper cycles. You might have to clamp it between some metal. You might have to overcorrect it. If it's bending this direction, you might have to flex it past. Don't go too far until you do your first temper cycle though, because you'll break a knife, right?
Yeah, yes. Or break 2 knives.
Or 2, or 3 or 4. Don't worry about it.
At the same time.
That's the other thing. Everybody breaks a knife. Probably more than one. So don't worry about that. You break one, it's a real good opportunity for you to check out what your grains look like. You know, capitalize on your mistakes. Try to learn something from your mistakes. All right, well, we'll get set up, put on our gear, got to put on our Bane mask, and then we'll get started on there. We'll go kind of slow. I guess really the next step, sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. I'll darken the edge, and then we'll shoot a scribe line down the center. Well, okay, we'll get a Sharpie that has ink left in it. Got one somewhere. There we go. Chunk that one over there so I don't pick it up later. Alright, so we're going to put us some color on here. And since we're going to put the little shark fin clippy point on the top, mark one there. There we go. We might get off some of Alright, so this is 1/8 inch thick, give or take a little. So I'm gonna get it at 1/8 inch real good. And you gotta find something flat. This will probably work. It'll be flat enough. So we're going to use the pointy part, get it all centered up, keep it flat.
Your fat hands are in the way.
Yeah. Well, dang it. Okay, let's go right there. So you got to try to keep your drill bit flat, though, is the problem. All right, so we get a little bit of a reference point, and then we'll flip it. Do it the other way. There we go. So we got us a reference point for where the center-ish is. If they don't end up with one perfect line down the center or whatever, that's fine. You just need a reference point. And sometimes, like I said, I don't even fool with doing that. I just kind of keep track of how many passes I make and try to match it on the other side of it. This is a better way to do it.
Another alternative for the center line is to get a pair of calipers and do your scribe lines like that. You can pick up a pair for like, I don't know, $5 at Harbor Freight. and just use that, because I mean that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And it works pretty well.
The best way is to have a perfectly flat granite slab and height calipers, height gauge, and do that. I don't have one of them. I don't know why. I just don't have one.
They're kind of expensive.
I don't think they're terribly. I mean, it's like most of this crap. You can pay as much as you want to for it. I don't think they're terribly expensive. But some of the ones I've looked at that weren't terribly expensive may be complete garbage too. So I don't know. That's another thing. You kind of get what you pay for sometimes.
And as Josh Colors, I'd like to remind you guys to like, share, and subscribe to our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and especially our YouTube page.
Yeah.
We are still running the fifth element, and we still need a few more subscribers to our YouTube channel. So don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. Here we go. Josh pulling out that fifth element for you.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it in a while. So when we hit 100 subscribers, we'll do another cool video where we do a bunch of shenanigans.
Will they be evil?
Most definitely. And one of you guys will win this knife. Could be you. There we go. Where's the fifth element? Took it to a gun show. Win me for free. Alright, put that up. Alright, what was I doing? Oh yeah, putting them little lines in there that I may or may not use. Let's go like this. Yeah, I can dig it. Anyway, the whole point of doing this is so the edge of your knife is actually centered up on the knife. You don't want your edge off to one side or whatever. It'll look bad, but it probably won't cut as well. Alright, that'll work. Alright, so let's shut that off, we'll get set up, and then we'll start grinding. Okay, so here we go. This is a 36 grit belt. This one's not a brand new one, because we're going to hit the 90s. We're going to break those first. And if you use a brand new belt, you just shoot all the little grindy things off there. So, 36 grit belt. Turn it all the way up.
Remember to cool your blade off.
Alright. So yeah, we're dipping these in our bucket of water after every pass, because these are already heat treated. So you don't want to blow your temper out, because it will generate enough heat you can lose all your hardness. So after every pass, it's real steady, light pressure. That's why you turn the belt speed all the way up. Real light pressure, and just go one pass. Hold that line. Just go one pass. Don't try to, you know, oh, I need a little more here. Just even it all out. One nice pass. You kind of follow the shape of the knife. So slowly, we're getting this angle closer and closer together, and this will start to creep up, but we're just going to start feathering that up. Let me safen back up. Alright, so I've got that 45 broke pretty good on there. So I'm going to go up to a sharp belt. So we're still 36 grit. These are Norton blaze belts or something like that.
As seen on Forged in Fire.
Oh, is that what they use on the show?
Yeah, that's what they use on the show.
I got them because they were orange. Oh, they look cool. Now, it was the ceramic belts I could find that day. Alright, so still, same thing. We're just taking this. Shows up like a black line right now, but that's still flat. So we're trying to get that really close to sharp. When you get to your tip, when you get to the tip of the knife, you got to make sure you grind through the tip. So you don't want to stop short, but you also don't want to roll it. Be careful of pulling it too far. You'll roll your tip off and it won't be pointy. We want pointy and stabby. Or slicey and dicey with the kitchen knife.
Yeah, pointy and stabby is for self-defense.
right, so at this point, there's a little bit of meat left. It's still a little bit flat. I don't want to go all the way to sharp because we still got a lot of blade to go through. I don't want to get it too thin down here on the edge and end up grinding through by mistake. So I like to leave just a little bit extra. But now we're going to start bringing that line up. So we're going to basically, we've been coming in at an angle like this. So now we're going to start going like this and slowly fade that. So the first pass or two, you'll see your original line, and then you'll see another one. And we're basically just going to keep doing that until that goes away. And we've just got one plane. And we're just going to do that over and over and over and go up the knife like that. So we'll kind of have, it's like a series of passes.
Drive off a little bit more. You're going to ruin your Sharpie.
Tell me what to do.
I'm your supervisor. I'm holding the camera.
What did I tell you about correcting in public? So you're basically, think about it like, say we'll go about that far this time, and this doesn't matter. Don't feel like you have to lay it out to this extreme. But our next pass will be like, you know, somewhere around here. So we'll have a line like that. Then once we blend all that together, then we'll go up a little more. So we'll do another pass up kind of like that. So you do a series of passes. And as you go, your angle gets shallower and shallower. All right, there we go. So when I'm grinding them, I like to get up over, because when you, like if you look down on top of the blade and it's on there flat, there's no gap between the edge and your belt. So when you change your angle, go to a little steeper angle, it leaves a little bit of a gap. It's easier to see when it's running because all the sparks kind of light it up from the backside. But basically you're trying to fade that in until that gap goes away, and then it goes, basically it's back to flat, but you're at your new angle. So I like to try to get over the top of it. Sometimes I hit my hat with the grinder. All right, do a little more. Is that making sense though?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay, so this is a really good example. I'm gonna take all this off. Okay, so we're kind of, here, don't follow me. So we're kind of transitioning from the last grinder bevel angle that we had and going into the new one. So you can see here's the new one that started, and then you've got, looks like a secondary bevel right about there. I don't know how well it shows up.
It shows up good.
So we're taking this and blending it down into that on our pass over the next several passes and getting it back down to just one bevel. The other side's kind of got the same thing. So we got our new angle. There's where our old angle starts. So we're gonna just be fading that down into that old angle, make it go away. And we'll just do this over and over and over. And once you get up however high you want it to stop, then stop grinding it. What I usually end up doing is I get one side where I like it, and then the other one's off, and then I end up chasing them back and forth. That's neither here nor there. That's a different video. It's a video of me messing stuff up. I guess
that's every one of our videos.
Could be this video too.
I figured it's every one of our videos.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, dude.
Are you making a video?
Yeah, we're making a video.
I saw you talk to me.
Oh yeah, you want to tell everybody hi?
Hi.
All right. That's Mini Shenanigans, everybody. All right, we'll do a little more. All right, so we're moving right along. Get the general idea. It's probably not going to be that much fun of a video to watch doing it over and over, but the idea is that you're not putting a whole lot of pressure. You're not leaning real hard into it. It's real light pressure.
Use your weak side so people can see.
That is my weak side.
Fuck you.
I'm not a mutant. All right, so real light pressure, and then just a nice steady pace. Once you get out towards the tip, you'll have to kind of pull the handle out towards you a little to keep it on there. But if you're over the top of it, basically you're just keeping your knife up flat against it. It's kind of how to think about it. Don't overthink pulling that tip out, or, you know, leaning that tip in. You'll end up doing too much.
Just enough for the metal to be contacted with the wheel.
That's really all you're wanting, is up against that platen. Just keep it in contact, nice steady pace. I'm doing something a little different, like the grind's gonna come up all the way here, and then you'll start to see the plunge in the knife itself. The other version did a plunge line down on the heel, and it looks good, it's okay, but I wanted to try something a little bit different on this one. Kind of a slightly different shape right up there at the transition between the handle and the blade. So I wanted to make it look a little bit different. Plus it keeps it interesting. This looks like it's a lot harder to do. So I like to do that sometimes. That's why I'm doing the curved plunge lines, because I'm not very good at it and it's kind of hard. So I want to try to get better at it. That's why we put fullers in our Hunter Secret knives, because I suck at doing fullers. So it made me have a reason to do a whole bunch of fullers. Anyway, so I think we'll probably stop. We'll do some more grinding and then catch back up on the video and just kind of show you some progress as we go. There's no need for you to sit there and watch us grind bevels for the next 10 forever. So, all right, so that's where we are right now. Just making progress. This side looks a little worse than the other side. That's basically not enough pressure at this end, a little more right here. So the bevel climbs up when you put more pressure in. We still got some facets. You can see a good way to tell is looking at the grind lines, and you see where they kind of change shape a little bit, change pattern, the light hits it differently. You've got a facet there, so it shows you where you need to kind of buff it out. There's one right here too. So it shows you your areas you need to grind down into. So at any rate, that's where we are. We'll check back in a little bit.
Ready.
Okay. Are we really recording this time?
We are really recording this time.
All right, so we got a little bit of progress done. I may take them up just a little higher, but they're fairly even. Bevels go to here on both sides, so it's pretty dang close. There's still some cleanup to be done, but just wanted to show a little bit of a progress report. We went up to probably here or so with the 36 grit ceramic belt, and then I switched over to an 80 grit J-Flex belt. So it's got a little more flexibility. So like the 36 grit ones are pretty stiff. There's not a lot of bend there. There's enough though, you'll kind of establish that curve at the top. And then you go to one of the J-Flex belts. You don't want to use these for removing a whole bunch of metal, like doing a profile or something. They just won't hold up to it. But for doing some cleanup work, transition from a super low grit up until you get into your higher grits, these are perfect. But you run it off your platen for doing the curves. Run it off your platen maybe 3/8 to 1/4 of an inch. This was a little tricky because there's no plunge line like here, down at the base, at the heel. We're running it all the way off. So the plunge line doesn't start until up here. But you kind of stay away from it at first, find your flat point, and then ease up to where you want it to go. It's easier to control that way, and stop and kind of hold it for just a second. And then you do your pass like normal. And with it hanging off a little bit, you see how much more flexible this is. you're having pretty good solid pressure down here next to the cutting surface, but up here, I guess it flexes away from it enough that you kind of get that curve instead of just having the straight lines. And I've started going from the 36 to a transition belt, like an 80 grit or 60 grit, whatever you can get, and then go up to a 120. Seems like it gets a little bit better results. And then from there, you just go as high as you want to. Sometimes I'll just go to a 120, and then I start using the Scotch-Brite belts or, you know, Trizac, whatever. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing. I'm not doing a whole heck of a lot of hand sanding on these. I'm just using them, like, leaving them as like a belt finish. Number one, I don't want to spend 2 or 3 days hand sanding out a blade because I'm not real fast at it. But they're going to get used anyway. These are all kitchen knives, or, you know, the other ones we make are hunting knives or whatever. I don't really, at this point, I don't want to really focus too much on having a super high grit sanded out finish or anything, because it seems like as soon as you cut something, you've got a big old scratch in it. So leaving a little bit more usable finish that you can actually work with and do stuff with and not have to worry about breathing on it hard and putting a scratch in it. But so like I said, there's a little more cleanup. Like, you've got the little feathers that come out, you know, from me sucking it, grinding, I guess, and the belt kind of kisses it up on the flats. The way to address that is just come back and touch up your flats. Start back here on your tang, you know that's flat. Use it as a reference point and just hold that angle, that nice flat angle, and kind of clean all that up. I may bring them up a little bit more. I don't know, I kind of like that though. And then we'll have our little clip point on there, or shark fin, whatever. I guess clip point's where it drops down like a buoy, but it's our little shark fin, rooster fin. And so I'll put it won't be sharp, it's not gonna be a double edge, so it'll be like a false edge, but I'll put that on there. And the reason I like them on these is because that point gets really, really small, and putting that angle on there basically just adds more surface area out on your point, so you're kind of reinforcing it. I don't know, kind of like an I-beam, I guess, in a way. It's got more surface area, just the way it's shaped, so it's actually stronger. But anyway, so we've got some pretty good progress. I think we will stop here for a little bit. As far as filming goes, James is going to give a couple of passes on some he brought over, get some practice and see how he does with the curves. And we'll just catch up maybe again here in a little bit, or maybe this is the end of the video. If this is the end of the video, bye, thanks for watching.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, go get a friend, tell them to subscribe, so we hit 100 and you can win the Fifth Element knife we showed you earlier. If it's not the end of the video, then we'll see you in a minute and we'll say all this same stuff again. All right.